Hi everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. My name is Alvin. I lean right on most issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
Hello, my name is Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I will be representing the Democratic side. Now, in this video, we'll be looking into the August 23rd primary elections. Let's start with Florida.
Yeah, so we have Florida and New York. We can start with Florida. So in Florida, there is a governor primary and a Senate primary. Both seats are currently held by Republicans, and they're both running against. So the primary is really only in the Democrat camp. In Predict It, which I like to use for primaries mainly because polls are sort of whack in the primaries so far. See Charlie Crist with a large advantage over Nikki Fried. I mean, I don't think Nikki Fried is going to win this, Luke.
Yeah, in this race, there's Charlie Crist, a former Republican governor, who transferred to become an independent and then eventually became a Democratic representative in the House. So he's running to try to unseat Ron DeSantis. Along with him, there's Nikki Fried, the only statewide elected Democrat currently holding office in Florida. She's like the agricultural commissioner. Yeah, as you said before, the polls have been kind of all over the place. Some show like Nikki Fried up by like 7. Others have Charlie Crist up by 20. So yeah, it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we should both be able to agree here that Chris is favored. Not
Yeah,
just because of the betting odds, but mainly just because his name as a former governor just,
and also
puts him
like
out there.
yeah, and also he's kind of like a more moderate esque Democrat. He reminds me of Biden sort of.
Um,
I mean, in our race we have Ron DeSantis, the Republican, winning the general by a likely margin. Um, yeah, I do not think either will be able to win, and Charlie Crist has been favoring better in one v
yeah,
ones against DeSantis. So
I
yeah,
think honestly, if Fried wins this nomination, we can move it to Safe R. Uh,
yeah, that
yeah,
I think I'd be able to agree with that.
yeah, and if Chris wins, I mean, I still think DeSantis is winning by 8 or 9. Recently in the polling here, we see DeSantis winning by over 7 or 8 in these Republican
No one has
polls.
Freed doing better. That's
This
crazy.
one does have Free doing better, but actually they have them at the same. It's just DeSantis. DeSantis over 50% is just, I mean, it's pretty much accepted. I think it's going to be pretty obvious that DeSantis wins this one by likely or safe margin.
Okay,
So yeah,
so
that's that. Another race, in the Senate race, Val Demings is really the only serious candidate for the
mhm.
Democrats, and she's going to be a sacrificial lamb to Rubio,
Oh
unless this
God.
one North Florida poll is correct and Demings is somehow leading, right?
Yeah, I don't really buy that Demings can unseat Rubio. He's just been kind of locked in Florida. Like he won by like a pretty solid margin in 2016. So I think he'll do fine
Yeah,
this cycle. Yeah.
I think he's chilling.
Hmm.
And like I said earlier, DeSantis and Rubio are going to take each other over the finish line. They'll turn out their respective bases and they'll vote straight ticket Republican.
Hmm.
All right. And there's one house race that you wanted to touch on, right, Luke?
Yeah. Actually, it's the Florida 10th congressional district. This is a solid district
Solid.
representing Orlando, Florida. Val Demings actually held the seat before. Well, now she's running for senator against Rubio, so her seat's now open. Now, I find this one interesting because we have Maxwell Frost, a progressive Democrat running, and he would actually, if he were to win this race, he would be the first representative from Gen Z, our generation. That's crazy. Um, we're finally having our generation running for office. It's insane. Um, as of right now, like he's running against 2 former U.S. representatives and a state senator. Um, yeah, he was down in the polls in May, the one poll that came out in May. But I think since then he's been getting a lot of progressive endorsements. I think he has a real shot at winning.
Okay, I mean, there you go. I haven't really looked much into the race just because it's a safety district. As you can see, it's not on this list of competitive districts from Cook's Political Report. And yeah, I guess we'll just watch and see, keep an eye out if it's competitive.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to New York. There's plenty of competitive races in New York in terms of primaries and in terms of special elections. Earlier this year, the gubernatorial primary ended with Kathy Hochul and Lee Zeldin winning their primaries. But in terms of congressional districts, there's plenty of them up.
Oh God, that map.
This map is just shows you how many districts New York has. In the 19th district, there's a special election along with the one in the 23rd district, which we'll touch on later.
Mhm.
But in terms of primaries, there's plenty of competitive Democrat primaries here in New York
Mhm.
City. In the 10th district and the 12th district are probably the most competitive ones.
Yeah.
And we've seen Trump do a little bit of trolling, right?
Yeah. So I guess we'll start with the 10th district.
Yeah.
This like lower Manhattan part of Brooklyn, representing those areas. So here, like this is like a new district created like during the redistricting process, and we had a bunch of Democrats running here. We had former Governor Bill de Blasio running here until he dropped out. Right now we have incumbent Representative Mondaire Jones from uh, uh, I believe a Brooklyn, no, a Bronx district. He came down to Manhattan to run here. He represents the 17th. We have a few assembly members running, like Yelene Nyo, Carlina Rivera, a New York City council member. She's a progressive. Yeah. This. Oh, and of course Daniel Goldman, who Trump endorsed. He did. He's like very involved in the law. He currently has the best shot of winning. Yeah, I mean, what do you think of this race, Alvin? I mean,
Yeah, this
it's kind
one
of a free for all.
honestly I really love this race for a lot of reasons. Dan Goldman was actually I think one of the lead impeachment lawyers for Trump. And it's very funny when you read this endorsement. Trump goes on to say, it's his honor to strongly endorse him.
Oh, really?
Just because he's like, oh, he's honorable, fair, and highly intelligent. And saying, he has a fair shot of winning against the radical left Democrats. And thank you, Dan, for fighting so hard for America and working to stop Trump. Which is really funny.
Do you reckon this endorsement helps or hurts Dan Goldman here?
It's really funny. You see him dropping in the predicted odds after this
Oh, really?
endorsement, which is pretty
Oh,
interesting. I
man.
mean, I think Trump made this endorsement to hurt him, obviously.
Mhm.
He knows that this is going to hurt him. And we see Mondaire Jones, one of the candidates with a very low shot of winning,
Yeah.
saying, well, Dan Goldman's endorsed by Trump. And we see Yelin Yo also saying Donald Trump just endorsed my opponent, in case you need a reminder of what the stakes
Oh,
are.
God.
So it's very, very funny how Trump is trolling this race. I haven't looked at Rivera's reaction, to be honest, but I
Mhm.
assume it's something similar, right? They've got to use what they
Mhm.
can. Dan Goldman's obviously been trying to avoid this, but it's pretty funny. I
Yeah.
think, I think the predicted odds speak for themselves, but really anyone could come out
Yeah.
on top.
And I believe
Um,
the New York Times also endorsed Dan Goldman. Now that I'm like
correct,
looking through things, yeah.
correct.
So,
This is the polling.
oh, nice.
So yeah, there's some recent polling. This Emerson College poll, with Dan Goldman on top, but not by a lot. He has 22% in a
Mm.
primary, which is not a lot. 17% undecideds here, 17% for Yellen Yo, 13% for Mondaire Jones, and 13% for Rivera. This could go anywhere. I mean, this could go actually anywhere. Obviously, Goldman's leading in the last three polls, which I guess is why he's up in the
Mm-hmm.
predicted odds. But with that endorsement, with that Trump endorsement, this one could go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we go to the New York 12th district.
Correct. So the New York 12th district is in Midtown. So it's
Mhm.
10th is in Lower Manhattan, and we have Midtown here. And this race is between Jerry Nadler, correct,
Yeah, Jerry
and
Nadler
Carolyn
and
Maloney.
yeah, Carolyn Maloney and a progressive named Suraj Patel.
Correct. In this race, Trump endorsed Carolyn Maloney, probably just sinking her chances of winning, but we'll see. Again, this is a very funny endorsement. A vote for Carolyn Maloney is a vote for the future.
Yeah.
And
Both Nadler and Maloney are like longtime Democrats in the House. They're like the old fossils in DC. And in this redistricting cycle, their districts were merged into one like district representing central Manhattan. So now they're both like going up in a kind of like 1v1. They went from friends in the House to like essentially enemies. And Jerry Nadler in recent polling has been leading by a lot. His lead's been growing. And he's been garnering endorsements from Chuck Schumer. I think he's favored to win here, honestly.
Yeah, I think the New York political machine is going to unite, or the New York Democrat political machine, I should say, is going to unite around Nadler. His name recognition is just way higher than Maloney. So moving on, we have two important special elections in New York.
Yes.
We have the 23rd district, which is a safe Republican district, and the 19th. Well, I should be using the old maps.
Yeah,
for
the old
this.
maps. Yeah.
The 23rd district is a safe Republican district and will stay safe Republican, while the 19th district is technically, it says the partisan lean of R+4 in the old maps, but Biden won this district and
by 1.5.
And on the congressional level, Antonio Delgado, who is now the lieutenant governor of New York, who's vacating the seat, he won by 10, right? So
yeah, he won by a decent margin.
yeah, he won by a very large margin. So there could be some discrepancies there anyway. But with this, and this new district will turn slightly bluer, I guess. Yeah. So this is gonna be a really interesting race. I think we should cover the 23rd first.
Yeah, the 23rd. Well, before we look at a specific race, I just want to note both of these races are going to be very telling for the midterms. And kind of like just like the margins in this in these races can kind of show us like how the Democrats and Republicans are going to do in the House, especially the 19th. But starting with the 23rd, who's running here? I think we have Joe Sempolinski for the Republican Party. He's a chairman of like Steuben County. I think the Republicans should be favored to win here. Trump won this district by like 11 or 12. So this race is going to be mainly about the margin. We know the Republican's going to win, but the question's about by how much. And looking at the 19th, we have Democrat Pat Ryan up against Republican Mark Molinaro. This is going to be far, far closer. The Republican seems to be leading in the polls as of right now, but like if the Democrats were to take this race, I mean, the midterms may be looking up for them. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, these polls are narrowing pretty quickly here. Although it's worth to note that the most recent poll is from a Democrat pollster. The DCCC is widely known as like the re-election arm of the Democrat House, and this just shows that with all these polls being of either one party or the other, it's very difficult to tell if this is real. Although I do have to say, if a Democrat pollster has Mark Molinaro up 3, this is a very interesting poll because the Democrats could be releasing this poll in order to get their base out to vote. Sometimes you put your own candidate behind by like 3 points, so you can go use it in your ads and say, well, Pat Ryan's down by 3, but he can win if you vote. So not sure. Also, this 11% or so undecided could go either way. Obviously, with the Dobbs decision, it's getting hyped up by everyone, especially on the left. In New York, abortion's going to be protected for the entire term. And I don't know how that's going to affect this race. The economy is getting slightly better, it seems. I think my prediction is Molinaro wins this. I'm scared to predict a margin, Luke. What do you think the margin's going to be?
Okay, this is like a very interesting one because in recent special elections, Democrats are doing better. Like in Nebraska, I believe the Democrat like improved on Biden's margin in the state by 6, and it was like the same in a Minnesota special election just like 1 or 2 weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I don't know. I think like it is possible for the Democrat to win. Like I think this is essentially a toss up. But if I had to pick a side here, I think I would say the Republican, just because in theory, again, it should be a Republican wave year. And it is an R+4 district. So I don't know. I think the Republican will edge out the Democrat by like 1 or 2 points.
Okay, honestly, I have a little more confidence in the Republican just because of this one poll released by the Democrats. Of course, it's a shaky poll for the reasons I just explained. So I'm gonna go with the Republican winning by 3.2% in this
Always with
race.
the exact like decimal
I'm going
place.
down to the 10th district in case I get it right. Then I'll look like a genius, and if I get it wrong, then it's just the same amount of wrongness, right? Yeah, I could see Pat Ryan winning. That's definitely not out of the question. And if he does win, then this Democrat poll is obviously just
Yeah.
to, it's just a poll to get its voters out, and that's fair game, but that just speaks to how bad the polls are in today's day.
Yeah. Either way, this is going to be one of the most telling races for the midterms. I think that's
Correct.
the video here.
All right, yeah. So thanks for watching, everyone. Like this video, comment down below,
Yep. Share it.
subscribe, like, hit the bell. There we go.
See ya.
Thanks for watching. Bye.